look now at the front cover of the Telegraph. What have they got, Nicholas?
A couple of interesting stories. Braverman refuses talks with Welby over migration.
Okay.
I'd say good on her.
And this is obviously in the wake of this speech she gave in America regarding multiculturalism. And Welby, as we know, and actually the church generally, has a bit of a history of wading in when it comes to this particular issue.
Yeah, and I'd like to see them more maybe wading into the defense of Christianity, dealing with empty... We have so many empty churches in this country, even Islamic terrorists don't bother attacking them, unlike in France. Or have you ever heard of a plot being foiled by the authorities because somebody wanted to attack? It happens in Italy, in France, elsewhere, all the time. But I'd say more dealing with the Christian faith and empty churches and the Christian identity, and less political activism. We already have a king who has been a bit of an activist in the environmental era. Now he's a new king. We need to give him time. And sadly, down in Italy, the Pope is also a bit of this Pope, you know, the Catholic Church. So we have the same problem.
I suppose everyone's entitled to an opinion, but when you come to these sort of religious figureheads, they do have another function, which is they are representatives of their institution. Lewis, do you feel that religious figureheads should involve themselves in political skirmishes?
Yes, if it's on the side that I support.
There we go.
And that's what this is. It's the reason why you're against it, or the reason why Nico's against it, is because the churches, whether here or in Italy or in France, are taking the world. They're on the world team. As you know, the world is divided into two ideologies. One is this kumbaya, open borders. We don't care about the people who are living in any locality. And then there's the Team Britain or the Team Local people.
I'm not sure that's right, Lewis. I mean, there are lots and lots of people that I talk to who think that we should be welcoming of people from different cultures, and particularly people who are seeking asylum. But at the same time, we do need to keep a check on migration to make sure that it doesn't become too excessive.
Obviously, that's the middle ground.
Yes.
But more and more, there's no room for middle ground. You're either supporting the team world and immigration, or you're supporting the local people.
Well, it's about the accountability of a government who has a mandate. Even Jesus said, give to Caesar what belongs to him and give to God what... Separation of state and church.
And it's like Hillel, if I can do another kind of almost biblical thing. He said, if I'm only for myself, what am I? And if I am...
I love it when you try to quote and get it completely wrong. This is why you shouldn't improvise, Lewis.
I know.
And you should always prepare and rehearse.
But I know, I wasn't thinking, because he didn't tell me what he was going to say. I don't know what the guy's going to say.
It's not that kind of show. It's not a scripted show.
If I'm only for myself, who am I? If I'm not for myself, what am I?
Do you know what? I'm not even going to give you a third shot at that. Just got it wrong on both counts.
It'll be Twitter.
Right, we're going to stay on the Telegraph though, because there's a couple of other stories on this front cover that I'm quite interested in. Parking app for whole country as Tories target anti-car measures. Is that moving to the right? An app that will help us? What do you think?
It's a double-edged sword, basically, because the team world, they don't want cars. They want 15-minute cities. They want LTL. But it's all on the same side. You think these are all separate issues. It's all one thing. And what the government is saying, we're going to care about cars, so you'll be able to have freedom of movement. But at the same time, the government's going to have an app and control all the parking and they'll be able to turn you off.
Yeah, it's another surveillance thing. Is that what you're thinking?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought you might.
Yeah, if they give up their crusades against motorists, I'm all for that. But again, this government is so much married to net zero that you can't really, you can't help but see the contradiction there.
Now, there's one other little story on the front cover, right at the bottom, in very small letters. More than half of men now have facial hair.
Yeah. And it says further down, and a third of all women.
It doesn't say that, Lewis. That's just your embellishment. This is what you do.
I made a joke. That's a joke.
Some say a joke, some say fake news. But none of us are bearded. None of us are hirsute. And I think, do you think that's the way to go?
I spent my teenage years in the Islamic Republic of Iran against my will. Yes. And that's why I have an aversion to facial hair. Yeah.
Okay, well...